Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Farm to Fame podcast. I'm Allie Cox, your host, and I have another incredible guest and one of my all-time favorite human beings, and absolutely one of the most dynamic executives I have ever had the pleasure of working with over my 25-year career. So, Alison Patt, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you so much, Allie. So glad to be here.
For sure. Well, we are thrilled to welcome you. And by we, I mean I, because this is our conversation. So Allie Pat, I've already started calling you Allie. So the formalities are already gone within
Perfect.
seconds. So Allie Pat is the CEO of Thomas Cuisine, which is this incredible food service company that is based in the beautiful city of Boise and does work across over a dozen states and has incredible clients in verticals including healthcare and corporate dining and secondary dining and active living and sports, which we are both thrilled about and excited to be pursuing. But I think that before we dive in and kind of talk about all the incredible things you're doing with Thomas, I would love it if we could just take a moment. And Allie, the reason why food and the real food movement and how Thomas Cuisine is so mission aligned with you personally is absolutely inspiring. And I was just wondering if maybe we could start there and then get into the kind of the work stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So you and I have had this conversation before, but for me, this passion sort of came to me and really in the form of my son. So when my son Joey was about a year and a half, he was diagnosed with severe nonverbal autism. And at the time, that basically meant no communication, no eye contact, no speaking, very little interaction. It was a pretty tough diagnosis. A diagnosis that basically took my husband and I from California back to family in Michigan. It also meant just a total life change. My husband decided to stay home, quit his job, and basically started a dozen different therapies, all of which didn't work. And as we went down that journey, the one thing nobody talked about was food, which now that's becoming a little bit more mainstream, but it really wasn't a conversation at the time. So this day came where my husband said, he's such a picky eater, which is not uncommon for autistic individuals. And he has all these sensory challenges, but he's eating like three things, and they're like pretzels, granola bars, not great, nutritious, healthy ingredients. If we ate that like that, probably wouldn't feel great. So we went through a process of basically getting rid of all processed foods and focusing on real, clean ingredients. We also, by the way, had to learn how to cook. And as we went through that journey, it was just like a week or two in when he started playing with his younger brother. Pretty soon after, he self-potty trained, which was like the miracle at that time. This is many years later after that first diagnosis. And he started babbling and said, "Mama." And I just remember just crying right there in the kitchen and recognizing that part of the answer to this journey was right there in our pantry and our fridge. And no one ever told me. So that really launched this whole passion around advocacy, education, making sure that I'm hopefully doing good with a company that also believes in that.
For sure. And I love when you talk about Joey. It's just like real proof in like a vision and also an ethos in food. I think that what has been so inspiring is how you have bridged that. And obviously Thomas Cuisine has is founded on these very same principles, right?
Yep.
Which I'd love for you to share a little bit about. But I think that how this happens for me, the thing that I find so inspiring is we're talking about food service, an industry that I don't know, we've learned that that's not necessarily mainstream, but it's something that we care about at Thomas. So I was wondering, could you just kind of dive into a little bit about that ethos and why that is such like a connector?
Yeah, absolutely. So similar to, I had this really personal story. So did the founder of Thomas Cuisine. And so we're celebrating, let's see, it's our 40th year this year, which is amazing. All founded by Thad Thomas, who kind of came up through the food service industry. And as he did that, he just felt like there was a better way. Constantly, there was this feeling of like, we could do something better. We could take care of people better. We could serve people better. And so what started as this mission of serving great quality, scratch-made, delicious food, throughout that journey of really building the company, Thad has had his own very personal medical big scare, big diagnosis. And that led him to investigate for himself, how could food play a part of healing? And it did. It really extended his life and just frankly extended kind of the happiness in those years. So as that happened, I don't want to speak for him. He has since passed, and his second generation is now carrying forward that torch. But as I'm told, he kind of got to this point of saying, I know too much, I know better. And now, if we're going to go out and serve millions of meals, we better do right. We can't go serve something we know is actually harming people, especially because this is a company that serves the most vulnerable. We serve food in hospitals, schools, senior living organizations, and communities. We just felt we had this responsibility to do better. And that kind of wove into this real food ethos that was started many decades ago.
And I just think like the part of like your, like the personal component with Joey and your family, as well as your experience, you know, you came up through hospitality, like so the vision to serve and have like find joy in this like kind of ethos is like, it's just like the great, no wonder you're so great at your job. You're also super smart, but like this just sort of like is like a whole, like it all fits together in such a meaningful way. And I just feel really, really grateful to be inspired by you all the time, and inspired by kind of like the company, and it's truly from the top down, because I have spent a lot of time with a lot of folks at Thomas Cuisine, and just this everybody doing just a little bit better every day and focusing. And I think a big better was when really, I think this came from within, I think your kind of like big vision, the owner's big vision, and then like obviously through things. But I would love for you to kind of talk a little bit about how this real food movement is really, really, it is a defining moment in the history of the company. It's also, I think, an articulation of an ethos that has been built over the last 40 years. It's not new.
Right. That's right.
It's just actually an authentic story. But I love how you're the one that's sort of saying, guys, now's the time. Like, let's own our truth, and let's really lean into this. And I was wondering if you could kind of share, like, how did that come to be? Because it's not cheap and it's not easy. So like, I appreciate that, like, this is sort of your kind of it's sort of your big CEO moment, honestly.
Yeah, I think it's a big moment for all of us. And you said several things that I think are worth underlining or emphasizing. One is, you said we're doing a little bit each day, and I think that's important to say, because this is not a one and done.
No.
So I guess to take it back, while the heart vision was very clear a while back, again, decades, what I would say is when I joined in 2020, it was palpable. You could feel this desire, this heart story around real food, this desire to serve people and to, frankly, make the world a little bit of a better place every single day. What wasn't clear was a shared definition of real food and operating standards that really came behind that and propelled that forward. Neither of those is easy, by the way. So bringing everyone together took some time, and bringing that shared definition, really understanding what it is, where are our non-negotiables, where are we willing to be a little negotiable? Because as you said, we work in an industry that is very margin compressed. There is a lot of financial constraints with those that we serve. We wanted to make sure that in going after this real foods mission and improving the lives of others through food, making it a lever for good, we didn't outpace the market and make it unaffordable, which is always that balance and challenge. So all that said, as a company over the past few years in particular, and with our amazing owners, the family, the Thomas family, our board, our leadership team, we've really gotten clarity on how we want to do this. That shows up in very specific ways that you know about, like our scrap list. So we launched, I guess it's been about a year ago that we formally launched this list of ingredients that we said no more. Some of them are pretty known, food dyes, that's really been in the news. Others, I'm not sure very many people know what they are. I had to learn. But there are things that kind of sneak into products and ingredients that we know, based on science, based on all of the research that we've done, are not good. So we've been taking these little steps day by day. In no way are we done, but we've been rallying around these sorts of initiatives to bring to life this heart vision and be able to really back it up with our partners and our clients. Does that make sense?
It does. And I think that again, back to like, one thing that I really love, and of course we were able to kind of work with you and your incredible team on sort of that brand defining. And it's not a logo, it's not a tagline, it is an actual consultative like brand experience that has thousands of touch points. You know, oftentimes in marketing we talk about like one brand, like many experiences. In this case, we're talking about millions, because I actually think we're talking about every bite, if I'm being honest, is like, and like every bite has been, and how that like your clients, like patrons, and you know, the whole, that it's like all intertwined, as well as of course with the culinary staff and whatnot. But I think that what is super important is to sort of say is like, it's been an ownership, and like a slow grow to it, because we want to make sure we're being so authentic and integrity driven and honest. And every single, like, this is one of those things I'm like, the marketing can't be too good, guys. Like, it has to, like, this is not aspirant marketing. This is actual factual marketing. And that's something where it's sort of like, we want to showcase Thomas Cuisine on your best day, not on what we want to be in 3 months. Like,
that's right.
Because otherwise it's not an authentic experience that I think anybody on the leadership team would feel comfortable with. We want to be honest.
Well, and with that, I know you and I talked about this, but first of all, authenticity, circle, underline. I know this is a little funny to say to somebody who does marketing for a living, but frankly, I want marketing to be our operations.
Right.
I want marketing to be the way we actually show up in the world. Yes, we have to amplify it. We need to storytell it. And we haven't always been excellent at that. We're learning, and we have amazing partners and awesome marketing team internally who's really helping us understand how to do that authentically. But for us, our marketing has always been how we show up. It's our chefs, it's our dietitians. And so it's been really exciting to try to figure out how to do this in a way that feels like we can stand behind it. I've worked for so many companies that taught you how to tap dance, right? Like, we're going to put this out in the world, and then, we're not really going to do that. So then we've got to kind of, buffer in how do we explain that? That is not the organization that I get to serve. And I'm so excited that we have owners and, again, leaders and chefs and RDs with such integrity that, like you said, we didn't want to outpace that.
Yeah, for sure. So Allie, what would you say, like, in the food service industry? And I think maybe we should table set. Like, can you just share a little bit about kind of the reach in the business that Thomas is currently doing?
Sure. Well, first, I'm not even sure people really understand what food service is. It's sort of this,
I was going to go there.
And so what I like to explain to people is we are this critical bridge between agriculture, farmers, ingredients, and consumers. We're one of the least understood bridges because, again, people don't always think about food service companies. But basically what we do as an organization is we go in, whether it's a hospital, a senior living community, a school, a sports team, anywhere where they believe that food matters and that good food can actually impact performance, health, outcomes. So I think about our amazing hospital partners who bring us on board because they believe we're part of a care team. They believe that the way that we serve in those moments matter to a patient. Those are hard days, and you know that better than anyone. When you're in a hospital, those are really hard days. The way that food can show up in those moments, we believe matters. So we align with client partners who really see that value, who see it as part of their own value proposition. We then come in and basically become their in-house culinary partner. So everything from the chef and the cooks and the way that we design that menu, which is custom for every single location that we serve, supply chain, sourcing, really designing a supply chain specific to the region that we're serving. And then, of course, everything from guest experience, our RDs, dietitians, making sure that we have the whole team to really accomplish the mission at hand. And while we may not necessarily be known because we frankly want to be a hospital, we want to be the school, we're just kind of behind the scenes. We serve tens of millions of meals every single year. And this is an industry that is serving, I mean, I can't even imagine how many billions of meals are being served by the food service industry. So I have such a passion to educate and advocate this space, because small incremental changes have these incredible cascading impacts across all of these
Mhm.
different locations that we get to serve.
Mhm. And I just what this. Part of it is like the clarity of thought in what our company and our brand stands for, and
Yes.
translating into your procurement, and what kind of foods that you as a procurement department are expecting, and your
Yep.
partners that you're working with. And that to me is part of the special sauce.
Yep.
And just something that, like, I think there's just such clarity of thought at Thomas Cuisine. There's
Yeah.
such clarity of expectation, and that's something that I just truly am inspired by. And so I have a question. This might be a moving target, and you might have a
Yeah.
different answer 6 months from now and 12 months from now, but what does really great marketing and food service look like? Other than
Uh,
making sure your customers people say, "Oh, the Simplot kitchen is so delicious." Like, I'm just curious in your mind, what is like a great
yeah.
what's a job well done?
Yeah. Again, I would go back to my initial thought, which is marketing is great operations to start, right? That's actually how I want to market and grow.
Mhm,
Um, but beyond that, I think for us, there's sort of three things that we think of. We want to educate, we want to advocate, and we want to deliver incredible real food. And I think marketing plays a part in all three of those buckets.
mhm,
So, from an education and advocacy standpoint, that's everything from, my gosh, I think I have one of our posters behind me. That's everything from what is real food? Let's redefine that. Let's really
mhm,
understand what that means. And
mhm,
I will say the market at large is interested in this. There is such a hunger for, where is my food coming from? Is this good? Is this bad? Why
mhm,
should I scrap these ingredients just because they're on your scrap list? So, marketing really comes behind all of that with nuggets of information that are delivered in such a fun way, a way that's easy to digest, whether it's for a team member or a consumer, somebody actually coming to our cafe.
mhm,
Beyond that, though, we ask our marketing team to do kind of a crazy job of being the marketing arm for Thomas Cuisine and also for our partners.
mhm,
So when you walk into Simplot's Cafe, as you mentioned, that should look very different than when you walk into the San Jose Earthquakes kitchen where we feed athletes.
mhm.
Very different audience, very different part of the country, just very different missions of those organizations.
Right.
And so our marketing team comes in and does such a beautiful job of understanding the needs of both, and then sort of bridging that into something that makes the experience exceptional. That's kind
Mhm,
of that delivery side.
mhm,
And then I think the final piece, and you said it, through our team and partnerships like we have, it's also about just getting the word out there.
mhm,
While we have been a pretty humble company and we prefer to stay it that way,
mhm,
we also know that what we're doing is good and people are excited to work with a company who has that kind of integrity, those kinds of ethics. We're a company that people want to work for, and it's tough when we make it hard to find us. So, everything from social media to website, we recognize we weren't always consistent in how we were showing up.
mhm,
And again, when it comes to that authenticity, integrity piece, the past year has been a lot about baselining and cleaning up and really getting that foundation right, so that whether you go to a website, Instagram or a cafe, there's this beautiful real food theme that carries through, and you know who you're talking to and working with.
mhm.
That's what it means to me today. I'm sure it will continue to adjust
Yeah.
and
And
grow.
and I love that, and I think it just always comes back to the experience. Like, how
Yeah,
are we
right.
experiencing Thomas Cuisine in every different kind of medium? Again, from, like, the
Yeah,
experience as a patron walking through in a cafeteria, or receiving the meal in your hospital bed, or having it before a tough loss if you are a professional soccer player. Like, those are all different experiences, and that is part of the, like, just watching how your team just becomes one is truly inspiring,
mm,
and I am so grateful. Okay, I have one last final question,
yeah,
as since I have you, a lot of people that we have found that are enjoying this podcast are very directly related in the food industry, whether they're farmers or they're a marketing hero food ingredients or a brand manager at a produce company or whatnot. Can you just share a little bit about, like, how their marketing is, like, how that marketing, like, is interesting to you
yeah.
as a large procurement organization, and what can they do to be a great partner to food service providers like a Thomas Cuisine?
Yeah, I'm so glad you went there because I almost went there with the marketing conversation. Well, obviously, we are marketing who we are and the finished dish on the plate, I guess I would say. Where we want to go is to really collaborate with our farmers, our growers, ingredient-based level.
Mhm.
So when we find a partner who already has a lot of that going, who already
Mhm.
has amazing video, storytelling, brand, it's such an exciting thing to just be able to put the two together. And
Mhm.
so again, for us, that is something that we look at when we evaluate a partner is,
Mhm.
of course, how do they fit with our real foods mission? Can they service a region, a section of our business? How can we support them in those ways too, in terms of distribution and logistics? But outside of all of that, we want to tell a story and we want brands that are telling a story too. So that's something we've been excited to do over the years in drips and drabbles, I guess I would say.
Mhm.
But we're excited as we go forward to do that in a bigger way. And again, I come back to the consumer wants that.
Mhm.
We have a lot of stories, but we want to go further back in the supply chain. I keep
Mhm.
saying we're that bridge, and
Mhm.
so I want to make sure that we're bridging that the right way with the right partners who are telling the stories alongside of us. It just
Mhm.
amplifies both of our messages. I'd also say, like, I know this is understood, but when food service prioritizes higher quality ingredients, we're really sending that market signal all the way back to the farm. And we
Mhm.
want to do that. We want to send the signal both directions.
Mhm.
And again, the more storytelling and collaboration we can do with those partners, the better. So
Mhm.
we are
Mhm.
thrilled. Outside of that, we are really working hard to come up with regional and very hyper local supplier strategies.
Mhm.
So I'm excited that so many people listen to this who are in those camps. We're excited to have those conversations. And again, the more of their own authentic stories that we can bring to bear, I believe it's a win-win.
It's so great. It's so great, especially for those food producers who, of course, need to be mindful of yield because that's how they
Yep,
make their money. But also, it's like yield in a very in an integrity driven way across different sustainability measures and whatnot. So
that's
uh,
right.
amazing, and I think also inspiring. So if you're a farmer and you're hearing this, you're like, oh, they do
Mhm.
care. So that is all. That's super important. Also, just making
Yes,
sure that you're working with your processor or your mill to get enough information out downstream to food service providers. So
that's right. I
yeah.
love it.
Well, Allie, thank you so much for making time. Appreciate this and just continue to be your awesome self because you are making huge inroads in the industry and it's so much fun to support you and so like meaningful to see you thrive. So congrats to Thomas Cuisine on some great moves.
Thank you, Allie.